Hecate, Demeter, Caradwin, Venus, Epona, Memphis,
Come to us, be with us, Lady of the Moon, Lady of the Moon.
Hey everyone, this is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and this video is going to be about drawing down the moon. I'm going to share with you my personal experiences with this because I was asked by a friend of mine who was curious as to my experience with drawing down the moon. Now, for those of you who may be watching this video and may be unfamiliar with the phrase drawing down the moon, I want to explain what that is. It is a part of full moon ritual where an individual will align themselves with the vibrational frequency or the energies of the full moon, which can be done by invoking or evoking the energy. And generally, when we're talking about the full moon energy or the lunar energy, we're talking about the goddess energy. And when an individual will draw down the moon, they may be invoking or evoking a particular goddess or a particular vibrational frequency, which has the attributes of Isis or Diana or whoever. Now, the difference between invoking and evoking, and this is my understanding and my truth on this, is that invoking is when you take the energy within you, and evoking is when you take the particular energy within your circle. Okay, so now that we have the definitions aside, let me share with you my personal experience. When I first started practicing my path or following my path, I would hold ritual, but it would just be me, because at the time there wasn't anybody to share ritual with. And when I did the drawing down of the moon, I honestly didn't understand what it is I was doing. I mean, I understood intellectually, but I really didn't understand it within me. I never truly experienced a drawing down the moon until maybe a couple of years ago. The shift and the experience took on steps, as everything does in life. When I did a drawing down the moon, I came to that point in ritual and I read the charge of the goddess. And although ritual itself always had a very peaceful and invigorating energy for me, drawing down the moon really was no different than the rest of ritual, which didn't make it bad, it didn't make it good, it just is what was. But I knew that drawing down the moon was supposed to be something special. There should have been a different feeling for me. And I felt this way because I would read other people's experiences, and I understood that invoking this powerful lunar or goddess energy should feel different than the rest of ritual. At least that's what I felt. So, move ahead. And then because it didn't feel very different, there were times that I just didn't do drawing down the moon. I felt that until I really understood it, I shouldn't practice that part. So then I began expanding my personal circle to include ritual with my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, and my sister, and we would occasionally do a drawing down the moon. And then I would, at the point where I started holding learning circles, I didn't rewrite. Well, yeah, I guess I rewrote. Instead of reading the charge of the goddess, I wrote something myself. it incorporated aspects of the charge of the goddess, but then I started putting what I felt the goddess would say if she manifested in our circle, and I wrote something different. So then when I did a drawing down the moon, I began reading that, and there was a change. Because I wrote the words, because I felt the words had a different meaning, and obviously the words had a different vibrational frequency because I had written them, it evoked an emotional response from me. And that's when I said, wow, this is different than the rest of ritual, and this is a little more of what drawing down the moon should be about. But I still felt that it was still missing something, but I was moving in the right step. I was moving in the right direction. I was sort of understanding what drawing down the moon was a little more than I had, but I still felt there was something that I didn't understand yet. And it was probably because I wasn't ready. So then flash forward again a couple of years, and this is when things started changing for me. I had started meditating more frequently, and in doing meditation, it began opening me or aligning me on a different vibration and aligning me with different energies. And my meditations, when I did them consistently, started freeing my mind and raising my vibration, where I was starting to tap into something different. I was starting to hear and receive messages. And it had gotten to the point where my husband gave me his tape recorder, and because I was telling him that I would be meditating, and I know I was speaking, but I couldn't remember what I was saying. And I would remember the overall theme of what the message was, but I don't remember the words. So then I started tape recording my meditations, and when I was meditating and in trance, I would tape what I was saying so that I could play it back later and hear the message. And that is when I understood that that indeed was channeling. And I had unintentionally started channeling. It was at that point that drawing down the moon became something totally different for me. Because as I understand and experience it, when I draw down the moon, it is the same as when I channel a message when I'm in meditation. It's aligning yourself and tapping into that vibrational frequency that you're not tapped into every moment of the day. It is when I'm in ritual circle and I have gotten into that trance state after invoking and calling out to the goddess or the specific vibrational energy that I want to align myself with, is when I receive it. Now, I still begin by, well, actually, we start by calling out or summoning or invoking whichever specific goddess we want to work with that night. Say it's Diana, so we invoke Diana in her different aspects, and then I begin by saying that charge of the goddess that I wrote, which allows me to shift into the trance state, and then we receive the message from goddess or from that vibrational frequency, and it is a very different experience than I had ever had previously. Understand for me, though, that just as when I'm in that meditative state and I'm channeling the messages there, when I'm in ritual, I get the overall theme of the message, but I don't recall the specific words that were said. Now, for those of you who don't understand what channeling is, it is that sort of allowing, at least this is how it is for me. allowing my ego and the sense of I to step aside so that a different vibrational frequency is allowed the use of my voice and my body to share a message. I've sort of stepped aside at that time so that the message can be shared through me for whoever is present. It is a unique experience and it may not be for everyone. And I know that you, at least for it to occur for me, I have to be willing. I have to be in a very receptive state. If I am not, then it doesn't work. I have had ritual instances where we planned to do a drawing down the moon, and for whatever reason, I read the charge that I have written and then I can't get there. And it's because there's some resistance that I'm experiencing at that time. It is, when I am done with the drawing down of the moon and I ground myself and we continue on with ritual, I feel very, very charged, very electrified, I guess is a way to say it. Usually I'm very warm, physically warm, very, warm to the touch, very flushed, and very, I guess, tingly or electrified. Electrified is the best. I feel as if there has been a charge in the air when you get a shock. It's, static electricity. It feels like that for me, but I get very warm. So that's my experience. And the other thing I wanted to let you know is that we don't do a drawing down of the moon every time we hold ritual or every time there's a full moon. We don't do that. I still feel like for me, because it is a very special thing that I do, that I don't do it every time. Not that ritual itself is not special, but I don't see a purpose to do it every time. But that's just me and my specific feelings on that. So I hope this is what my friend out there was looking for. And if anyone has any questions in regards to drawing down the moon or my personal experiences with that, please ask and I may be willing to share. We'll see how personal the questions are. And I would love to hear your personal experiences with drawing down the moon too, so video responses would be welcomed because I'd like to hear your experience. I guess that's it. And as always, guys, I love you.
Come to us, be with us, lady of the sea, lady of the moon, lady of the moon.